Hello everyone and welcome to Flawless, a music podcast. My name is Liam and I'm here with my two co-hosts Grant.
Hello there, music fans.
And George.
Hello there, music lovers.
Each episode, a host or a guest nominates an album that they think is flawless and we talk to them about how they discovered it, why they love it and what makes it flawless for them. We have a Facebook group. It's called Flawless Friends and Family. You can find the link in our show notes. In the group, we announce in advance what albums we're covering and we get your thoughts and we read them out on the podcast. And of course, being a podcast, we have a Patreon. So from $1 a month, you can back us on there. You can get access to our bonus episodes and also early access to these episodes before they come out. Once again, you can find the link in our show notes or patreon.com/flawlessamp. So today we have a guest. Would you like to? Sorry, for everybody else, you'll only hear one version of that, and you won't understand why that was weird. Okay, would you like to introduce yourself?
I sure would. My name is Emma Dean. I am a Brisbane-based musician and performer and songwriter, choir mama, and
Nice.
I'm a life coach in training currently. Yeah,
Cool.
Woo.
So where can people find out about all your various things that you're doing?
You can find out about all of those things on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me at Emma Dean Music or at Emma Dean Coaching. My choir is at Cheap Trill Music, which is CHEEP Trill.
Nice.
That was so well prepared. Like, I just felt like you just rolled that off. I was
Thank
like
you
so
so
impressed.
much.
You're like a
Nice.
radio
Been practicing.
presenter or something. That was really nice.
And would you like to tell us what album you're nominating today?
I would love to. This is an album by my girl crush, Tori Amos. And it's called it's called Little Earthquakes.
Every finger in the room is pointing at me. I want to spit in their faces, yet afraid of what that could bring. Got a bowling ball in my stomach, got a desert in my mouth. Figures that my courage would choose to sell out now.
Nice one.
Sweet.
So, just before we get started, there is a song on this album that talks fairly explicitly about an act of rape. So, we'll be talking about that song at some stage in the episode. So, just for everybody, this is the content warning for you. If there's discussion of those sorts of things makes you uncomfortable or you'd rather not hear that, that's completely fine. We recommend you check out a different episode of Flawless.
Thanks, Liam.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Liam.
So, Emma, how did you discover this album from 1992?
Okay, so I was a little bit delayed in discovering this album and in fact discovering Tori Amos in general. This is a bit of a theme for me in my life. Musically speaking. So I remember I was studying at the Conservatorium of Music in Brisbane and I am a piano player, and around this time, well, I've always really been interested in writing my own music, but I never felt really cool because all of the songwriters that I was kind of looking up to were all male guitarists. And
You mean you weren't into Billy Joel?
actually I was, but again,
Okay, good. Because I brought the
later on,
stranger.
I love a bit of Billy Joel, but I remember seeing Tori Amos play a live show, and I can't even remember, whether, I think this must have been on the internet, on YouTube, and I had heard her music, but I hadn't ever seen her play live. And it was that just hooked me in. I was like, who is this woman with her legs spread on the piano, just playing like a boss? I was, she made the piano, in my opinion, just very sexy. And I thought she was the best thing ever. And so after I made that discovery, I went back and found out more about her music. Actually, I lie. When I first heard her, that is true. So I really became quite obsessed with her at that time. So this was kind of early 2000s. But when I was in grade 11, I was doing dance as a subject at my school, which was Kelvin Grove. State High School.
Nice.
And my contemporary dance teacher, she choreographed to Pretty Good Year, which is a Tori song from another album.
Yeah.
And I loved that so much. I loved the middle section of that song where she gets really rocky. But again, I didn't ever have sort of footage of her playing live. So I didn't even know she was playing the piano. So it was at that moment that I discovered this amazing woman, and I saw the visuals of her performing that was it for me.
Yeah.
I was
Cool.
Yeah, she won me over.
Nice.
Just like that.
So you went back at that time and sort of found, I guess, a few albums of hers, or she only released just this one at that stage, or
No, she had released
Lots
a
of
few.
You heard
And
in the early
she's
2000s,
prolific.
and
Yeah.
She's 92.
Yeah.
super prolific. Yeah. So what made you pick this album then as the flawless one?
Well, I found it really hard to choose one, to be honest, because with Tori Amos, I have many of her songs are sort of very meaningful to me, and they're scattered throughout multiple albums, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think there are a number of songs on this particular album that are meaningful to me and that have stayed with me all of these years. So it was kind of the most obvious choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
There you go.
George,
Hello.
I'm going to blow past have you heard of Tori Amos and ask you, have you heard this album or had any experience with this album in particular?
Yeah, I owned this album.
Nice.
I think I still do, back in a box in the UK on CD, but not from '92 when it came out, because I
I was
was
going to say, come on now. Like, this is getting ridiculous.
That'd be six.
I was
6 years
seven.
old?
I was 7 when it came out. So I didn't know Tori Amos when I was 7. But I do have this recollection of seeing Silent all these years on MTV at some point between 8 and 10. And I actually heard her for the first time when I was 10, properly. So my mother worked as a nurse, and she is a muso, and she worked with a woman who had bought Boys for Pele, which is the third album by Tori Amos. But she didn't like it very much. And she said, here, Jan, give this to your daughter. She likes music. And also for the record, I used to be platinum blonde, and I was going strawberry gingery at the time. And so
There you go.
the
stars aligned.
My mother brought home this CD, and there's a picture of this pale, red-headed woman breastfeeding a baby pig.
Really?
Yeah, on the front.
that?
And I looked at it, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And then I popped it on, and it Boys for Pele starts with an a cappella song called Beauty Queen, and then there's a silence, and it moves into one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard, which is a song called Horses. So that was and I was playing piano at the time, and I was going ginger, so I was like, okay, I like this. So I listened to Boys for Ballet on repeat many times. Like that whole album, I loved it. And then I started to hear a couple of the songs on the radio or MTV, but that was it. So then I went back. So it took me like a couple of years to go back and actually get like all her Under the Pink and Little Earthquakes, which are the first 2 albums. But then I did own them because I loved her so much.
Cool.
So then so I listened to them, and so she even sings about the orange clouds raining in my head at one point, and I was like, that's the best way to explain being ginger. In Silent all these years, she sings, years go by and I'll still be waiting for somebody else to understand if I'm stripped of my beauty and the orange clouds raining in my head. Which I just really loved. So it made me feel better about going ginger. There we go.
And I tried to go, I was a fake ginger for many years, inspired by Tori Amos.
Nice.
Yeah. Faux
And then gave it up.
I gave it up. It was too hard to maintain, but I loved it. So
Nice.
I'm very
Nice.
jealous of your natural
So Liam,
ginger.
Yes.
Tori Amos.
I haven't ever. I know of Tori Amos. I think Cornflake Girl was the first song that I knew, and that was all over the radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Professional Widow as well.
Yes.
I lived with a friend of Emma's and myself, Helen Paris, who is like just 100% in love with Tori Amos. And I'll talk more about her later in this episode. And I lived with her for like 9 months, and I have no idea how I didn't listen to a Tori Amos album because Helen loves Tori, and absolute super fan. But I hadn't heard an album, and I when I saw Silent all these years, I'm like, I know the name, but I couldn't have told you what it sounded like beforehand. So I didn't know one other song, but we'll get onto that when we get to it.
Cool.
Grant. Tori Amos, had you heard
Cornflake Girl?
Cornflake Girl,
Of course, Cornflake Girl, and the Professional Widow, the version that's Armand's Star Trunk Funkin' Mix.
Yeah,
that was the one that and that was it. But when I heard this, I must have heard this at boarding school. It was 92, so I would have. There's a
because those were both after this one. So would you have heard this one at boarding school?
Yeah. When I'd heard Crucified before, absolutely.
Okay, right.
Like,
There
I
you go.
wouldn't have known it, but
You're in front of me. You're in front of me again.
Wow, really, a couple of them actually. There are lots of double ticks, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
So I would have heard it, but not known at the time.
Mm.
But between 92 and 96.
Yeah.
At the time.
So debut solo album for Tori. Before this, she released a couple of albums with a band whose name now escapes me.
Why can't Tori read?
That's it.
Because that was because she got kicked
read.
out of university for not reading, for refusing to read her music properly because she didn't need to.
No. Overrated skill. Unless people in the room have it, which is fine. But yes, if it sounds good, that's fine. So only 2 people performed on this album. So Tori Amos did the acoustic and electric pianos and lead vocals and background vocals and sampled strings. And then Steve Caton did guitar, bass, and some background vocals.
I think there's more.
There's more.
reckon?
There's 21. There's
Was there?
21 musicians. 'Cause
Okay, I only
didn't
wrote
write
down 2, so I could
couldn't
be
write them
completely
all.
wrong. Maybe it was, I didn't write them all down because I just took the top 2.
I literally
Sorry,
didn't
my
write
bad.
them because
that's all right.
there's when I looked on Wikipedia, there was 20 other musicians.
Right.
21 other musicians on this album.
It did feel a little weird.
Yeah.
There were only 2 people. This album is a very full album.
Yeah.
A very
So
complex and layered
there's
album.
an
to only have
orchestra.
2 people.
Yeah, there's an orchestra and strings.
I don't know why I said that. That was really dumb. It got to 14 in Australia, certified gold, 14 in the UK, and 54 in the US. And there were 4/5 singles released from it. So Me and the Gun was released as a single. Well, so there was a single release which had 4 songs on it. Silent All These Years was the first song, and then Me and a Gun was the third song. But the name of the single was Me and a Gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know whether they just didn't, people were like reacting weirdly to that, but less than a month later they re-released it exactly the same photo, same track list, but called it Silent All These Years as a single. And that's when the radio picked Silent All These Years up and started playing it. So it was, yeah. But because everybody talks about Me and a Gun being the debut single, but you can't, that's no radio station is going to play.
No,
Here's a
no
song,
way.
an a cappella song from someone you've never heard of. Would you
Yeah,
like to play it on the
totally.
radio? Like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But yeah, I deep dive and it's like, it's just the same 4 songs, but they just named it something different.
And did you know there's someone out there in the pop industry, like from maybe like 10, 15 years ago, who says this is one of the most influential albums of his experience of all time. And he was married to Britney Spears. It is indeed
Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, he
That
says
is surprising.
he says this album.
They didn't marry Britney, did he? They never got married.
I thought they got married.
No, they
Oh,
didn't get married,
Oh,
but they were
Kevin
together for a
Furlong or
long.
something.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Like-
Yeah.
And it's very sad that I know that, but sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're really debating pop culture.
And-
So JT said that, okay.
Oh, I
yeah,
love
JT
that.
said that. She although people call her classically trained, she actually has this weird condition which I've forgotten to write down, like chromatopathia or something, where she can, in her mind, she sees a shard of light, and from that shard of light, she sees all the layers of a song, and she writes the song from that, and that's how she composes it. But her father was a Methodist pastor, so she was exposed to religion from a young age. But her grandfather was pantheistic, which meant he believed in no one true God. So she saw him as really influential for her.
Pantheistic.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard that.
But her older brother and sister were getting piano lessons when they moved. But Tori, as soon as she could reach the piano at the age of 2, was playing. And she would listen to a song once and then just play it.
Stop it.
Nice.
Play it. So she was, at 5, the youngest student ever admitted to the Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins University on a full scholarship. Now, that's a huge university over in the UK. And it's to date, she's still the youngest person ever admitted. But then left, her scholarship was revoked when she was 11 for her refusal to read music and her preference for rock and pop as opposed to classical. So she is
like an attitude problem.
So then at 13, instead, accompanied by her dad, the Methodist pastor, she would go and play piano at gay bars and piano bars all around her city. And her name is Myra Ellen Amos, not Tori. Somebody said she looked like a Tory pine tree, and so she took the name Tori as her stage name.
Okay.
So she got signed on her first band to a 6-album record deal, but she ended up hating that album, and then she was committed to bringing out another 5 albums. So 2 of them were covers, because she was resented being on the album.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. So she's a very accomplished human being.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
So
spiel.
she saw through the 6 record deal in the end?
Yeah, she did. The final one was covers, and she did one of covers called Strange Little Girls, where she did like a gender role where, like, I don't like Mondays and stuff like that. She swapped the genders around, and she had really great artwork of her dressed in all the different characters' clothing and stuff. Like, yeah. So she committed, but literally her last album, her 6th album, was just covers because she refused to give them any more original material.
It's a long time, eh? 6-album deal, jeez.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
how old was she around about when she finished the last album then?
Don't know when she finished the last one, but she was about 21, I think, when this album came out.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Oh, unreal.
21 when this album came out.
About that, yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought she was a bit older.
There's also a comic book with all these incredible artists dedicated to her called Comic Book Tattoo Tales.
Yes, I've got it.
No,
Great.
I've just ordered it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've just ordered it.
cool.
That's exciting. So, just about her songs and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yep.
So she's like, I like her.
That's just cool. It's a
Emma,
great album.
in your music, do you mostly piano based or guitar based yourself?
Well, mostly piano based,
Yeah.
but I have started playing guitar.
Okay, cool.
Yes, recently. But yeah, I mean, so inspired by Tori.
Yeah.
I love the way she plays. I love her sense of harmony. I love what she does with her left hand. She's tricky. She's a
Trickster.
I
tricky
remember
little minx.
I remember because I used to play by ear when I was young,
yeah.
and I was playing piano a lot, and I would try and play Tori, and I was like, nah, can't do it. I just couldn't do it. Like, I could play some Billy Joel, but I couldn't, because that was like simple bluesy chords and stuff. But I couldn't play Tori Amos, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll just sing along.
She is unlike any other piano player, singer, songwriter that I have ever heard. The way she plays is so, well, it's complicated, and it's like her voice and her fingers are working as one. And, you know, she fills space in a way that other piano players don't. It's just fascinating. And I love in the mixes of this album, of all of her albums, the piano is right there. You know, it's not a background kind of vampy, chordy kind of instrument. It's like this is part of her voice.
Yeah,
I
I felt as I was listening to it, like, she could have, if she wanted to, just done piano and nothing else. It could have, like, most of the songs would work just as piano and nothing else and parts.
And she does that live a lot. Like, it's just her on stage, or her with 2 pianos and an organ. Like, you know,
I love
she
that.
kind of like straddles the piano stool, and it's amazing.
So have you seen her live?
I have seen her
Nice.
live.
No.
Where and when?
So
Details?
this was years ago at QPAC, the concert hall. I went with Kate Miller-Heidke and her friend
nice.
I think it was Mia. I can't remember. There was
Yeah.
a third person there. And it was incredible. And it was just her on stage with, you know, a piano.
Big old grand or something.
The only thing that I would say is that it did go on a little bit too long.
Okay.
Really?
There were
Even
too
for
many
you?
encore, even for me. I'm a
Yeah.
big I love a set list. I
Yeah.
love a well-crafted set list, and I think if it's just you and a piano on stage, it's got to be very well-crafted
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
to
gotta
kind of
be-
hold people's.
Yes.
So you could, you know, when you're in the audience and everybody's so excited, and then there's that tipping point where you can feel the energy in the room slightly change, and people are getting tired, and they're like, "Oh, I'm looking at their
Yeah.
watches,"
Yeah.
and there was a bit of that even in a Tori Amos concert, which I hate to admit,
Yeah.
but it was apart from that, it was just
How long do you
amazing.
think it was time-wise?
I can't. Well, it was, a number of hours.
Yeah.
Which is a long time to be sitting to,
Yeah.
watching.
Was there a
one-
support act?
I think it might have been. I feel like it might have been Tyrone Noonan.
Okay. Cool.
I have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure it was Ty. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
And the other thing was that she didn't really talk in between songs very much either, so
okay.
there was not much
Strange.
storytelling.
Context.
Yeah.
That could have been something that
In a
was
lot
more
of
engaging.
her live
distance, yeah.
videos, she does lots of talking.
And I love her stories because they're so
Yeah.
wacky. She did a couple.
Mm.
I think she talked about her daughter, who would have been really young back then, because this would have been in the, I want to say, the mid 2000s, like maybe 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
So her daughter would have been really young, but yeah. So that was a bit. I love a story. I love a good story on stage.
But I think it doesn't matter how much you love a band. I think there can be a point where they've played on too long, and you think, like, no,
Yes.
you just needed to wrap this up a little bit earlier. And,
There's a
Okay.
video of her doing Muhammad, My Friend with Maynard James Keenan
Yeah.
from Tool. And I remember when I saw that for the first time and I was like, I fucking love Tool. And I was like, fucking love Tori Amos. And I was like, we put those two things together. And she was like talking about how sometimes they call each other at night and sing each other lullabies.
Oh, that's so
But that's-
beautiful.
I think that's a theme with her because she was friends obviously with Maynard. She was friends with Kurt Cobain. She was friends with she knows certainly Michael Stipe. Like she's not friends, I guess, with just other piano musicians or anything. Like she's friends with a lot of big
yeah.
rock musicians who love her, even though the styles of their bands might be
different, yeah.
completely different. Just the way that she writes and the way that they work just gels, and
Because she plays like a guitarist
Yeah.
on the piano. She plays these open fourths and fifths, and it's like power chords on the piano.
Nice.
So I can, she's very well respected, and I think she respects those artists as well. Yeah.
Totally.
She doesn't look just to other piano players.
No,
Or
and you can
classical.
tell, like,
Yeah.
she's so inspired by such a diverse,
She's funky, rocky, jazzy, everything.
all of it.
Poppy and classical, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it opens.
Crucified.
Big track.
Beautiful piano melody, pounding drums with just like that little, I don't know what it is, but some kind of echoing noise behind, some kind of percussion, like they're hitting a bell or some kind of weird thing behind it.
So
Just
good.
really cool.
So many layered like vocals, and then
Yeah.
angelic harmonies during the "Please Be Save Me" section. She moves from alto to soprano with ease in this one, like so nice. And then she says, "Got enough guilt to start my own religion."
So great.
Yeah.
Right? I was just like, I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is more about using religious imagery for a relationship struggle, I think. But I guess like growing up with a Methodist pastor, she references religion a lot.
A lot.
But she goes all in on it too. Like it's not just, it's a little bit of religious imagery here. Like she talks about raising up her hands and having nails driven in. Like that,
Yeah.
she's like all the way, like not just crucifies in a sacrifice, but an actual hands on the cross crucifixion.
Totally.
It's like she's,
And
all in.
I love it.
it was the 5th single in May 92 as well.
But just like that first, like your first solo song, like this is how you introduce yourself to the world.
It's bold.
It's
It's
bold.
such a
I'm
bold
going
move.
all in on the religious imagery.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, like
Oh,
just no.
totally.
Yeah.
And this album, I didn't realize this, but she made this album with her then partner.
Okay.
Yeah, Ross.
And
his surname was Ross.
yeah, I don't think
I think it's like
wrote
Mark
down his.
Rossi, I think.
Yes, I've written it on somewhere, and she had to write it twice. Did you know that she I think she took it to the record
I read a bunch of
label,
things and they were like,
and they
"Oh,
went, I
it's
don't
not
know.
quite there," and they shuffled it around and brought a couple songs in and took them out, and then
Yes.
they weren't quite there either, so she reshuffled it again. It was just a lot of back and forth.
Totally. So, yeah, it's so fascinating, the process. But yeah, I love that. Coming from that really kind of poppy, why can't Tori read period?
Yeah.
It's like she's just gone, you know what? This is me. If I'm going to do this, I want to say what I want to say, and I want to do it as authentically as possible.
Definitely.
And I'm so glad she did.
Rolling Stone put it on number 233 of 500 greatest albums of all time. And it's also in the book 1001 Albums Before You Die.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I agree.
There you go.
Nice.
That's cool. But then it goes into Girl, which is one of my favourite songs. Just like when she starts to sing.
She's been everybody else's girl. Maybe one day she'll be your own.
Nice.
Lyric buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always you two.
Yeah, just
So
like
good.
I did
Such a
I
great
did
chorus.
Have
you
that
did. Awesome. It's so
it's a group lyric buddy. It's
group
okay.
lyric buddy. So it's just so poignant, and empowering. Like so much. I was probably 12 when I was listening to this, and I was like, oh yeah. Like again, it's such an empowering thing to have when you've got a woman that looks like who you'll become, like singing to you, saying,
Totally.
like, will you become your own girl? Like,
And I think if I remember correctly, this song is kind of written about what I just said before in regards to her going, you know what, I just want to be myself and I want to kind of showcase who I really am. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love the chorus of this song and I love the synth part that Tori, did I say Corey? Tori plays in the chorus. I think it's like strings synth. It's like this really interesting
there's a big orchestral sweep all the way through this song. Which
Yeah,
is
so great.
I think it's definitely like this 1-2 hit of like, this is not just going to be one person playing one or two instruments. Like it's going to be a big deal, all the songs all the way through.
and when she's singing, like she's been everyone else's girl at one point, there's this deep vocal like that she's singing, and then there's this really high pitched like layer over the top, but it's not in unison. So it's just like one saying girl and then the other one says girl, and it's just like not at the same time, but it's just layered really beautifully.
Oh, so good. She's a master of the counter melody, I think. There's often two different melody lines or more happening at once, and I love that. I think I've stolen that from her over the years. You know?
Nice.
It's very, very rare that she's singing to the same melody as the piano anywhere on the album. Like because the piano is going way too fast for you to possibly sing to it.
Totally.
But it's they're on different patterns, but still linked together in a way that you wouldn't think they're different or anything.
Yes.
And then in that one, there's like a bit of a male harmonizing on the back as well. So on a bit where she says, "Sit in the chair and be good now," there's a male harmonizing over the back of that, which is like the man telling her sit in the chair. It's like, it's really cool.
So good.
Smart moves.
Cool. We should talk about Precious Things, which I think is probably my favorite song on the album.
What about Silent All These Years?
We can do Silent All These Years.
I think that's one of my...
Okay. Go
So
for it.
sorry, I quoted some lyrics already earlier when I got a bit excited, so a bit ahead of myself. But Silent All These Years.
Oh, so beautiful. I actually covered this song at Women in Voice in 2015. I love it. She talks about when she wrote this song, apparently she was... she came up with what she calls the bumblebee piano tinkle, which is the start of it, these really beautiful chromatic runs. And I think that came first, and she was, I hope I'm not getting this mixed up with another song, but I'm pretty sure she was like in this tiny apartment with her partner, and she started doing that. No, I am getting it mixed up. Sorry.
Okay.
No, strike that.
Strike that.
Edit
that's
that
fine.
out. This was, I think, inspired by her little niece,
Okay.
who is called Cody, and she was reading The Little Mermaid to Cody, and she said, watching Cody respond to this young woman giving up her essence and power all for something else. And in that moment, I realized that when she had no voice, that just completely took me to the place where I needed to reclaim it. So I thought that was so interesting, that story.
That's lovely.
It's full of imagery, this beautiful song. Yeah.
Because it's it talks about a dysfunctional relationship sort of scenario where you do find your voice, but in the end gives them solace. And they say, she ends up saying something about here, take hold of my hand, which is lovely.
It is
but
so
there's
lovely.
one line which I have absolutely used on a guy before, which is, boy, you best pray that I bleed real soon.
Yeah.
Because I'm if you're pissing me off or whatever, you bet,
Yeah, that is a brilliant line.
And I talked earlier about the orange clouds, about her ginger hair, but I have a Cupid's bow on my lip, and my friends always said that it looked funny, and especially when I put lipstick on, and so she talks about her funny lip shape, and so I was like, Tori, you're my lady.
Yes.
You're who I want to become.
Totally.
I'm just a guitarist instead of a piano player. And I can't sing. And I'm not rich. And I don't have... No, it's fine. But we did move on. Precious Things.
Yes.
Precious Things. So
I
Liam...
love this chaotic, swirling maelstrom of piano bits coming in and going out. And at the start...
That's what I wrote about.
Yeah. At the start, mixed with that heavy breathing sound
I
and a
love
super
that.
fast pace. Just super cool. It doesn't. There's not a lot of other stuff that sounds almost jagged the way this one does. A lot of the stuff her piano playing is usually quite smooth, whereas this is it feels like she's really stabbing at it.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Yes.
This
And
was...
then
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I was just saying in the back half, then it picks up with there's rock instruments and it's really sort of pounding and drums and guitar parts and stuff like that, which is really cool.
there are two lyrics in here which I loved, which are...
You said you're really an ugly girl, but I like the way you play. And I cried, but I thanked him.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
Got that one down.
So
Yep.
good.
Yeah, and then the best thing, read Christian Boys. So you can make me come, it doesn't make you Jesus.
I love it. I had lyric twins. Is that what
Yeah,
we
lyric
say?
buddies.
Lyric
Yeah,
buddies.
twins.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's
So good.
So good. What an awesome line. Again, I don't think I've used it on anyone, but I feel like I should.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great line.
Yeah.
So there's a Australian band called Blue Line Medic who did a really cool rock straight more just rock instrument cover of it, but playing all the piano parts. It's so good.
Okay.
I can't find it online anywhere. I've got an MP3 of it that someone has very clearly hit record during Triple J playing it. So it's got a little of the DJ intro and outro, and then so it's so compressed and flat, and it's just but it's such a really cool thing. And when she sings with their 9 Inch Nails and a little fascist panties tucked inside the heart of every nice girl, they just scream that out and just pull the whole song to a stop for it. It's really cool.
Oh, I've got that lyric written down too.
Yeah, so it's just such a
So
good,
great.
So yeah,
I like just because I think I was listening to 9 Inch Nails at the time as well, and she was probably friends with Trent Reznor. So
I think she was.
It would make perfect sense. Oh, wow.
great. Any other double tick songs that we haven't gotten to
Winter.
for you? Winter, straight off the bat.
Strings, come
Nice.
on, man.
Classical piano.
Yeah.
And
When you gonna make up your mind? 'Cause things are gonna change so fast. All the white horses are still in bed.
I've got the when you're going to make up your mind, when you're going to love you as much as I
Yes. This is all about her relationship with her father.
do. Yes. It's like a coming of age song, isn't it?
It is. It is indeed.
It's really beautiful. So
Becoming an adult.
because they obviously had a great relationship. Because she talks in Winter about looking forward to putting her hand in her father's glove.
Oh,
which is so lovely.
it is so lovely.
And then he's obviously coaching her, and she must have had a really complicated childhood, being accepted to uni at the age of 5. And like having to deal with like the complications of being surrounded by 18-year-olds and stuff like that, and still being better than most of them, and not actually have any friends or peers or anything.
No peers. No.
And then her father's a literal Methodist pastor, so like from a religious perspective, that's obviously going to be hammered home. And yeah, it must have been really complicated for her.
Absolutely.
So, but she still had a great enough relationship that he took her to gay bars to come play piano.
Yeah, but he probably had ulterior motives. He's probably trying to convert people as well there, and you know, he would.
Like,
Maybe that's just the negative guy.
That's
in
what
me.
they
I'm
do.
like, hey,
that's what they do. So, Happy Phantom is where we go into funky, jazzy piano
Woohoo.
rock.
little
I'll
bit of
watch
honky
out for
tonk.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it.
Yeah.
Someone plays the dulcimer in that one where they hammer the strings, and it makes that interesting sound.
Yeah.
And her vocal range is awesome.
It's a cool song.
It's just really, it's just like it's 3 minutes. It's really cool. It's really funky. Just
She's
like
a ghost.
a nice thing after Winter and before China.
It's this is actually one of my favorites on the album. And she says that she talks about having to die, or a little part of her having to die in order to create little earthquakes, and so that's what she kind of speaks to in the lyrics.
Because she talks about like going to heaven and
Yeah.
seeing all the people up there, and then but still wondering whether or not the person she's with will find somebody else. Or
Yeah.
And she says,
And I will never need umbrellas in the rain. I wake up in strawberry fields every day. And the atrocities of school I can't forgive. The happy phantom has no right to bitch.
So good.
because like she's like, no, I'm a dead ghost now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And then atrocities of school. Oh. So yes, can we talk about leather?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Another
Double
slightly
tick.
poppier number again.
Pardon?
Still another slightly poppier number again. With the
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like how
It's
good
kind
is
of
it?
cabaret. I
Yeah.
feel like
It
it's
is
really
cabaret.
cabaret
Description,
vibes.
actually.
That's really nice. She does a piano solo in this one.
Yes.
Jazz, fun piano solo. You can almost see her lounging over the piano and playing it backwards. Like
Yes.
just awesome. But obviously it feels like it's like she's trained up to be a dominatrix and this is her first go at it.
Yeah. She wrote this song in 8 minutes.
Nice.
So apparently a friend came over to her house or apartment to borrow sugar, and she played some of the album for her friend, and her friend was like, "Oh, it's not catchy enough."
Right.
Imagine saying that to
Yeah.
Tori Amos. Woo, that's a bold
Sorry for
move.
you, yeah.
And so then after her friend left, she sat down at the piano and in 8 minutes wrote Leather,
Punched up leather.
as you do.
As you do. Nice.
That's awesome. Well,
Wow.
yeah, and I like
I can scream as loud as your last one, but I can't claim innocence.
or if love isn't forever and it's not the weather, hand me my leather.
Brilliant.
So smart, just so smart.
And that goes into Mother,
Oh,
which is the
doesn't it
big
just?
7-minute epic. Like just
What? It's silent into classical piano.
yeah.
Like it starts with just this absence, which I thought was like really like poignant and stuff. And it made me feel like it was about her leaving home very young, but wanting to keep home safe. And then she has this passionate vocal, but it feels like it swaps between the child and adult, like in her lyrics and stuff, which is like a really nice like play on how she's like performing the song. Oh, and she talks about being a redhead again. So a green limousine for the redhead dancing
That's
girls.
right. Yes.
Yeah, so switching in that dancing for singing and performing,
Yeah.
so which is closer to what she was doing. But just that idea of always wanting to have something at home so you can try and make your way home if you get lost or if someone won't let you go, which is once again just super wise for someone who's still relatively young when she put this together.
There was a moment that I thought was really interesting about probably being dominated by adults, where she says,
I walked into your dream, and now I've forgotten how to dream my own dream. You are the clever one, aren't you, bridesmaid?
and I thought that was like a real good twist on, like, you've manipulated me because I'm young and like malleable, and now you've taken over my dreams.
Innocent.
Yeah, and then she talks about brides in veils and he's going to change my name, and that made me think of like confirmations or baptisms, and like where everyone gets called Mary.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the songs are like, some of the imagery she uses is like, okay, I can really clearly see what you're going for here. And then sometimes it's like, I don't know what, like she's obviously just seen an image in her head and just put it straight into words. I'm like, I don't know how that's supposed to connect or relate to anything, but I still like, sometimes you like the imagery anyway.
Absolutely.
But you just be like, I can't connect what this is supposed to be, but it's just cool.
But when she starts to sing Mother the Car is here.
Yeah.
Oh, I get goosebumps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
So we should touch on, we should talk about Me and a Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yes.
So, a cappella.
Yeah.
She tried to bring it out as a first single. It's an interesting choice, I think. Let's say that as a minimum.
Yes.
It's an interesting choice. So, what was it like? Liam, had you heard this song before?
Never.
Ah,
Right.
I hadn't heard this. And
You
then I
hadn't
read,
heard it.
and then I read about what it's based on.
Did you know two people have actually covered this? And I think,
No.
how dare they?
Wow.
Like, how dare they cover this song?
You've got to, it takes a
One
lot
of them was
guts
Amanda
to do it.
Palmer, so that says everything. But don't worry about her. But
And neither do I need to then.
No.
Sorry for you.
So, as Liam said earlier, we're going to talk about a song which is about rape. And this is a very frank description of a rape that Tori was actually the victim of when she was 21 years old.
After a concert.
Yeah.
By
Yeah,
a concert
after a
goer.
show.
Yeah,
Like,
by
it's
one of the patrons.
Mad.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Yeah.
Super explicit, but not graphic. Like not a description of the act itself, but uses the imagery so well that you can still, to your own horror, picture exactly what's happening in every step of the way.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
treads that line just in an amazing way.
Yeah.
And it was a knife as opposed to a gun.
It was a
It
knife.
was,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was wearing a red top
Yeah.
in it. And she talks about that red slinky thing in the lyrics. But then she, coming back to the religious stuff, she sings, "And I know what this means. Me and Jesus a few years back used to hang, and he said, 'It's your choice, babe. Just remember, I don't think you'll be back in 3 days' time, so you choose well.'" And and she talks about all the things obscure things she was thinking during the act. About never being to Barbados.
Like all the things she hadn't done. And then when she had that thought of
biscuits or
fighting
whatever.
back, it's like, what if he kills me?
Yeah, and he made her sing during it.
Yeah,
so
hymns.
she was singing like hymns and stuff like that during the act.
Haunting. I would imagine as a performer, it must be so hard to like almost relive that experience.
Mm-hmm. And then every time you perform it.
Yeah, every
But she
time you
did
perform
that.
it.
I read a comment on, and maybe it was just the Wikipedia one or another slide article, and she said, like, words to the effect of, the real victory for me in writing that song was I've allowed myself to be vulnerable again. I'm like, and in performing it, that's like that empowering. And she played it for a long time, I believe. She used to play it every concert for a number of years.
Yeah.
I think there might be some catharsis.
Yeah, for sure.
In that, and also because she's performed for free on behalf of like rape charities and stuff like that in like Madison Square Garden. So she's performed for free. People have paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a ticket, and all that money has gone to rape charities. So it must be kind of empowering for her, and she probably knows that sexual assault is prevalent still towards women. So if it gives them any comfort to hear that song, then
absolutely.
Correct.
And it also deals with, you talked about the slinky red thing, but it talks about like that rape myth of did she deserve it because of what she was wearing? And obviously, absolutely not. So it's like, I wore a slinky red thing. Does that mean I should spread? And it's like, just confronting the act, but also the idea that people would then blame her for what she was wearing. She agreed to take him in the car and all that other sorts of stuff as well. It's just really harrowing and amazing.
It is amazing. I know I've written poetry about my own rape and sexual assault, and I've read it out at poetry slams and stuff, and it's felt like a huge weight lifted off of me. And then I've had people coming up to me afterwards and saying, like, talking to me and just going, thank you for doing that, like it was really important to me, and like they got the opportunity to say to me, and that's what I'd love to do to her, is to go up to her and say, you have no idea how impactful that was for me when I was 12 years old. So,
my God, the power of sharing our stories.
Yeah,
I will never underestimate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so important.
So really important song, and really daring to bring it out on your debut album.
Yes.
And debut single, and name the single
and
after
the early
that song.
90s, guys, as well. I mean,
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
This is very different. Very different period.
Gosh.
Cool. We're running a bit short of time. Did anyone have any other double heart songs we wanted to touch on before we do our wrap up?
Let's do our wrap up. We have a final pitch.
Emma, did you have any other songs that we hadn't covered that you want to go into before we do final pitch?
No.
Cool.
Final pitch
time. Final pitch time. Off you go.
Oh, what to say? What to say about this album? Oh my gosh. I love it for so many reasons. I think that, and as I said before, I love a well-crafted set list, and I think this album does just that. You've got your kind of heavier, kind of rockier numbers, and then you've got a beautiful, soft ballad. You've got a stripped-back piano and voice song. You've got an a cappella song. There's such an array of different sounds. I think it's also a virtuosic album. I think she is a virtuosic musician and singer. I think I love the poetry of the lyrics, and I also love that you can almost interpret them in so many ways. Her lyrics are often not super literal, which I think makes it quite accessible for so many people, getting different meanings from her music. Yeah. I think it's just one of these albums that is unlike any other album. It's a first, like she was doing something groundbreaking, I think, and so bold. And I think all of the songs fit so beautifully together, and they're meaningful for so many people. It's an iconic album, and I think that's why it is flawless.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool. Grant.
Yes, sir.
Final thoughts and a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
This is it's a great album, and sort of out of my wheelhouse a bit. Again, my experiences as Cornflake Girl and a dance track, and yet I had heard elements of it certainly 30 years ago now. Jeez, guys. Loved. There's double ticks, like every second song's double tick. Winter into Phantom, all the rest of it. My unfortunate challenge, or what I didn't think was required, was Little Earthquakes, and I thought that from mine to finish on Me and the Gun, was like so heavy. Like and that's great. What an awesome finish. We didn't need Little Earthquakes, and yeah, it's the title of the album and all the rest of it. But sure, but it was amazing, all of it, and I really enjoyed it, and thank you, because lots of notes and everything here. But I'm going to say no, just because I didn't think that it needed to end on Little Earthquakes. I thought that it was a perfectly good ending, with as confronting as that song is. I thought like there's something to think about, but in the same time I can see why you would maybe want to try and lift it a bit with Little Earthquakes post. But for me, I'm going to say it's a thumbs down. But thank you. It was really cool.
Such a pleasure.
Awesome. George,
Hello.
final thoughts and a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Final thoughts. Well, so excited when it was Tori Amos, because I've loved her, as I said, since I was 10, and I love her music. She inspired me on piano. Could not do it. But never mind.
Yet.
Yeah, but I am ginger and proud, and I remember taking in a picture of Tori Amos to a hairdresser once when I needed my hair topping up, and I said, "Can you make it like that, please?" Because I wasn't quite orange enough. So I was just like, she's been an inspiration to me. And Me and the Gun was cathartic for me as well, like really powerful. There are so many songs that I did not need to bring up the lyrics on Google.
Wow, yeah.
Because I've heard this album so many times. So I listen to a song and go, oh yeah, that. And then I just write the lyrics down without looking them up, because I literally didn't need to, which was awesome. So it was really beautiful, and I've listened to it way more than I needed to for the sake of Flawless as well. However, there is one thing that ever since I first got this album, there is one song that I always skip, which is China.
Isn't that so interesting? Because that's like, people say that is her most kind of accessible pop ballad.
Yeah. And it was her third single.
Yeah.
But so there's organ and piano, soft percussion, feels like it's going to be like this epic kind of song, and it's really nice, and she does sing like, sometimes I think you want me to touch you. How can I when you build a great wall around you? Like, great lyrics, awesome. However, it is smack bang in between Happy Phantom and Leather. And I'm like, I've listened to Happy Phantom, and I'm like, jazzy piano, cabaret song, boo-ba-doo. And then I'm like brought back down to this like anthemic kind of piano rock song. And then I'm brought back to funky, awesome, like fun Leather. And so since I was 12, I've skipped China, and I've gone from Happy Phantom to Leather, which is why I can't make it a flawless album. But I do know
Sorry, Tori.
Sorry, Tori.
I tried. I really tried.
She'll be devastated.
She's going to really, like, I am ginger, like, naturally ginger. But no, I'm sorry. Like, and I knew it coming into this as well. I was like, I just knew, because I've been doing this for years, and I was like, am I going to skip it this time? And I was like, oh, fucking did. So I was really pissed at myself. But thank you for bringing it. Thank you for bringing
Such
it, Ginger.
A pleasure. Yay!
Liam.
Yes. Hello.
Over to you.
Cool. So we'll do the short version because we've already got 2 thumbs down. So I agree with absolutely everything you say, Emma, about how it's iconic and it's amazing and it's a debut album. So even though she'd done stuff before, this is still her debut solo. So confident, so beautiful. I'm so glad I listened to it. Like, I'm going to have to listen to more Tori stuff, and it was just really, really cool.
Definitely.
Except for one song. So we all had one song. I didn't mind China, and I didn't mind Little Earthquakes. Tear in Your Hand, or Tear in Your Hand, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. That took me out of the album, because that sounds like the romance song at the end of an 80s action film.
Oh my gosh.
The piano melody on that sounds like it was Top Gun, and then someone comes running out and hugs Tom Cruise, and he's got her in his arms, and they walk off into the sunset together.
Oh, wow.
The piano on
That's
that
all I'm going to fucking see from now on.
That's all I could see when I was
funny.
listening to it. And I was like, so I listened to it on just listening to it. I was like, yeah, this sounds like an 80s action thing. And then I went and listened to the lyrics, and it's like, no, it's one of her songs. She frames it in the same way she frames all her songs. But every time I hear the piano ding ding ding, ding, I just think
Kelly McGinniss and Tom Cruise.
I just think 1989 action movie.
Nicole Kidman.
It takes me out of what I think she's trying to do with the whole album, and it just
That's so interesting. She based that song on Scarborough Fair. by Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Interestingly, yeah, it was
Right.
like the blueprint
Right.
for it. And she's got this line in it that says, "If you need me, me and Neil will be hanging with the Dream King." And that is a reference to Neil Gaiman, who
Okay.
Oh,
was
Nice.
is Amanda Palmer's
Palmer.
husband.
I think.
Was, I think they split up.
Split up, yeah.
And they became Tori and Neil became very, very good friends. And,
Okay.
because of that.
Right. Nice.
So,
yeah.
yes.
Well,
But it
and
wasn't
it's
for
not even
you.
the whole song. It was mostly just the piano. The way that she
Yeah.
plays the piano in that
Interesting.
song just took me out of the album.
yeah.
So yeah,
Oh.
Oh, and that's
Loved it,
literally
but-
all I can see. And I've got the song in my head now. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
so yeah, that took me out of it. So I gave it a thumbs down. But I'm the same as Izzy. I love listening to it. Thank you very much for nominating
Such
it.
a
And bringing it
pleasure.
And we want to thank everybody for listening. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we are Flawless AMP on all of those. So check us out. Leave a rating, leave a comment, tell us what you think about the episodes. Everything you do helps us to find more music lovers just like you. And, of course, the Patreon, which is patreon.com/flawlessamp, so you can check us out there. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.